Our guest that evening was the province's lieutenant governor, and we eagerly awaited his arrival. We were nervous. You could feel the tension in the room. The serving staff were lined up rigidly by the entrance in their crisp uniforms, eyes all fixed on the door. Everyone knew their job well, and we all wanted to pretend that serving the crown's representative was no big deal. But we knew better. The door opened to a slight gasp, and security stepped in, scanning the room before them. Suddenly, he was there, bigger than life than we had imagined. He was smiling. He was comfortable, like he'd done this 1,000 times before. And he had, but we hadn't, and it must have shown. He broke ranks and walked directly over to where the staff were assembled and smiled at us. He reached out and extended his hand to one of the younger staff members. You all must be the very best servers available, he said warmly. I'm looking forward to dinner this evening. Wow. There was a noticeable slump in tension. Everyone relaxed and smiled, and as we moved to our appointed stations, we immediately recognized a true leader had just arrived. When a leader arrives, this sort of presence in action is not uncommon. Even without an entourage, when a celebrity walks into the room, something shifts. People look up, the conversation stops, and there's a noticeable silence occasionally, interrupted by an unnecessary announcement of an arrival. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. or Mrs. Center of Attention needs no introduction. The announcement's heard, but not required since everyone is already focused on one individual who has suddenly become the most important person there. There's a quality to how that person carries themselves, and you notice it before they said a single word. We've all experienced this in one form or another. Sadly, most of us have also walked into a room and then felt like we just disappeared, like we were there but somehow not quite present. Today, we're talking about personal presence, what it actually is, why it matters so much in career transition, and what you can actually do to develop it. Not fake it, develop it. Personal presence is often described like it's some kind of gift. You either have it or you don't. But that's not how it works. Presence isn't magic, it's a combination of special signals you send without realizing it. Your posture, your pace, your eye contact, how you hold silence, and how and when you enter a conversation. In short, presence is what happens when your inner state matches your outer expression. When those two things are aligned, when how you feel inside is showing up in how you carry yourself, people sense it. They trust you more. They listen to you more closely. What you say seems to land just a wee bit better. Here's the distinction: presence isn't about being loud or dominant. Introverts can have extraordinary presence. It's about being genuinely fully in the room, not performing, not shrinking, just grounded, comfortable in your own skin. In a career transition, the moments that matter most, the interview, the networking conversation, the first meeting with a potential employer, are also moments when presence seems to desert us for some reason. Maybe it's because we're nervous, we're in unfamiliar territory, we're thinking about how we're coming across instead of just being there. And yet, that's exactly when presence matters the most: hiring decisions, trust decisions, relationship decisions. These happen faster than we think, and they're heavily influenced by how someone makes us feel in those first few minutes, not by their resume or what they've done, but by who they are, their being in the moment. Presence is the difference between someone who seems like they belong in the room and someone who's still trying to convince people or themselves that they actually do. Both might have identical qualifications, but the one with stronger presence will almost always have a better outcome. The most common trap is trying to project presence instead of develop it. You've probably seen this, the person who's performing confidence rather than actually having it. They're talking too fast or too loud, filling every silence. It's presence shaped, but something's off. People can feel the gap between performance and the real person. The other trap is shrinking, making yourself smaller, speaking quietly, avoiding eye contact, trailing off at the end of sentences as a way to manage nerves or make it seem less threatening. But shrinking doesn't make you seem humble. It makes you seem unsure. And in a career context, that uncertainty is contagious and it most certainly interferes with the selection process. Let's understand this perspective. Presence isn't something you put on before you walk into a room. It's something you build by understanding what's already happening inside of you and then learning to work with it instead of against it. Here are three practical things you can do right now. First, slow down. Almost every presence issue I've seen comes from moving too fast, talking fast, moving fast, answering the question before it's finished. Slowing down signals self assurance. It says, I'm not in a hurry and I'm not afraid of silence. And that's one of the most powerful signals you can send without saying anything. Second, get grounded before you walk in. There are simple physical ways to do this. Feet flat on the floor, a few slow breaths, shoulders back and relaxed, not rigid. Pay attention to your posture. This isn't performance coaching. This is your nervous system. When your body feels stable, you signal stability. When it doesn't, you signal the opposite. Third, stay curious, not impressive. The biggest presence shift I've seen in people is when they stop trying to impress and start getting genuinely interested in the other person, in their conversation. Curiosity is grounding, it moves your attention outward, and that shift changes everything about how you come across. None of these require you to change who you are, they just require you to show up more fully as who you already are. Be relaxed, get comfortable, be yourself. You're special. And when you show it, they know it. So, where do we go from here? Let's start by recognizing that personal presence isn't about being someone you're not. Instead, it's being more fully who you are in a room, in a conversation, in the moments that matter most in your career transition or in your daily life in general. This week's deep dive post on Tuesday goes into the science behind why presence works and why your nervous system often gets in the way. On Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, we'll discuss this topic in the community meeting room, live on Zoom. Everyone's welcome, and we'd love to have you join us to share your stories. On Thursday, the practical exercise walks through a 20-minute presence audit, looking at exactly the signals you're sending without realizing it. And on Saturday, the reflection piece we post is about what it means to actually be in a room, not just showing up in it. Every week, we explore a different topic in our series related to career development. We archive these articles on our Career Compass tab on our website, where you can catch up on any posts you may have missed. You've already got more presence than you think. The challenge is simply to learn and practice how to bring it forward when it counts. We hope we can see you this Wednesday. Reach out if we can answer any questions or provide assistance. We're here to help. We'd love to hear from you.